So in this lesson, I'm going to get you guys started using Sketchup. So real quick, here we go. We're going to dive in. I got it named tools. Way Sketchup works, you got three axes that you really got to kind of keep in mind. Your blue one, green, red works on those three axes, as you'll see here in a moment. On the left is your toolbar. Pretty self-explanatory here. We're going to dive in this lesson and just kind of scrape the surface a little bit. Selection tool, obviously, that'll allow me to select objects that I have drawn. Eraser tool, I could erase portions. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to skip the paint bucket for right now. That's more interactive as I'm using some of my materials, as you'll see in another lesson. My line tool, if I wanted to draw a simple line on one of these axes, I could use my line tool. Skipping to the rectangle tool, 90% of what you're going to be drawing is a square or rectangle. So we're going to begin a lot of our objects like that. We'll then go to the push-pull tool. That's going to allow me to add some depth or height to make that a 3D object. Your push-pull tool is going to help with that. Your move tool, once you have an object selected, you can go to your move tool and move that around on your screen on your desktop to get it to where you want. Tape measure, obviously we're going to be doing some measuring because we're going to be drawing some specific parts to certain lengths. That's going to be important. And then last but not least is our orbit tool. And when I select that and I click and hold, it allows me to rotate around on my desktop. Okay. On my desktop, again, there are the three axes that I want to kind of keep in mind. Okay. Right now, I have this person selected here. I'm going to hit my delete key, and it gets rid of that person. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to make a simple shape. This is where we're going to start. Simple shape, rectangle. Take my rectangle, and notice when I click and release my mouse, it's going to start pulling out a shape. And down here in the bottom right, it's going to add distance. There's the dimensions of it. Okay. So that's how I can precisely make a square or rectangle what I want. Notice I'm on my blue axis. I can change that. Now I'm making it vertical. Okay. This is flat or horizontal. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make one flat horizontal. And I'm going to type in 12 inches, comma, by 12 inches down in my dimensions, if you notice. And I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to give me that basic shape. Okay, so make a basic rectangle and make it 12 by 12. It could be anywhere on your screen. The big thing is that it is that 12 by 12. So picking up where we left off from my basic shape of a rectangle, that is 12 inches by 12 inches. Again, once I started that down here in my dimensions, that's where I can make that precise. And all I did once I started in a direction that I wanted that rectangle or square to be made, I then just started typing. It's kind of live and it's just kind of moving. And then once you just start typing 12 inches, comma, 12 inches, hit enter, it will make that. Remember, it doesn't matter where it is on your screen because we can move it. And we're going to later on down the road. Okay. Again, if I want to get rid of something, all I need to do is select it, hit delete, and it will disappear. Okay, so there's that shape that I made. I'm going to go to my orbit tool and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Again, I'm doing that using my mouse. I like working with a mouse and I'm just using the scroll wheel. Okay, so how do we make this a 3D shape? We're going to move on. I'm going to go to the push-pull tool. Okay, that is right below the rectangle tool. That's what we started with in the previous lesson. There is my push-pull tool. I'm going to select that. I'm going to come out here and notice when I hover that tool on top of the object that I drew, it kind of gets that little polka dot pattern to it or waffle pattern to it. That's just indicating that, hey, you're selecting this surface. This is the surface that you're controlling. Okay. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click hold and I'm going to push or pull in the direction I want to extrude that part. Okay. And as I'm doing that, if you look down in the bottom right distance, it's giving you a height. So let's say I wanted to raise this off of that red axis and I'm coming up vertical here. and I wanted to make it 8 inches. I would get it started in the direction I want, and then all I'm going to do is type 8 inches, enter, and it's going to exactly push that object to that height. Okay? So now, go back to my orbit tool, and I can simply hit O on my desktop. That's the shortcut for orbit tool. And you can see I made a 12 by 12 by 8 inches high little cube here, little block. Okay? What I'm going to do, just to verify this, is I'm going to go to my tape measure, T, or I can click on the tape measure on the toolbar. I'm just going to hit T. And you could see that when I pull this, there's my 8 inches high, or if I go in the opposite direction, there's my 1 foot or 12 inches. So it is very, very accurate. Okay, so that is your push-pull tool. Real simple. Okay, notice I'm in this tape measure tool and I kind of want to get out of it. If I hit escape on my keypad, it'll get me out of whatever tool that I have selected. Okay, that's really helpful with the tape measure, so it's just not dropping measurements where you don't want them. It gets kind of annoying. So just escape and you'll be out of that. I'm going to go back to my orbit tool just one more time to illustrate to you how that simply works. Okay. Next, we're going to take the line tool. All right. If I go to my line tool, I can go to any of these endpoints and I can start, or it will automatically pick up a midpoint. All right. And this is kind of nice. I get the midpoint and I know I'm on a midpoint because it's telling me that from my desktop, but also I have that cyan colored dot. Okay. And what I'm going to do here with that midpoint is I'm just going to click one time and I'm going to drag across. Now, here's where your axes kind of come into play. Notice there's my blue. I'm coming across the top. There it is in that green. Or if I'm coming this way, notice it goes to red. I want to draw right across on my green axis to the opposite midpoint, and I'm going to draw that line right there. Okay, so it's right in the middle. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that line. There's my selection tool in use. It made that line blue. And now I'm going to go to my move tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply move that line. And look what it does. I can make all kind of funky shapes with this. We're going to make a birdhouse. Simple little birdhouse. Notice that dotted line snaps blue and it tells me, boom, blue axis. Okay. You can make it however tall you want. Obviously, that's a out of proportion, real steep roof. I'm going to make something that looks pretty appealing. So I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to take that selection tool because you can see that top ridge is selected. I want to deselect that. So I'm just going to click off it one time. Everything is deselected. Okay. So I started with a simple rectangle, made it a footprint to 12 by 12, what I wanted, extruded it to a height that I wanted, added a midpoint line across it, used my move tool from that midpoint line and pulled my roof. Okay. And we have a simple little house. You guys are going to draw and submit a birdhouse here like mine. Now, we're going to add a couple little things to this. So we need to draw more shapes. I need a front door. That would be a rectangle. So like rectangle tool, real easy. I'm going to click on that. Doesn't matter where you put this, just to get a little practice here. Notice it's pulling on the green axis, and that's what I want because I want it to be vertical. So I'm just going to click and hold. I'm not going to worry about any specific measurements here. You don't either. I'm just going to kind of place a door. Okay. And now let's say maybe I wanted a nice little window above, make it somewhat proportional. It doesn't really matter. Something like that. If I go to my orbit tool, let's say I wanted to throw on the other side a little hole for my birdhouse. Here's where we get a little bit more in depth with some of our tools. If I click and hold on my rectangle, notice I can also make a circle. So I'm going to select a circle. Again, it's going to work on your axes. You can see how it's pulling, right? It's kind of interactive. It knows because of my shape. I'm going to click there. And same thing with, how big do I want to make this? My radius, I'm going to make a 1 inch radius. So I'm going to hit 1 inch, enter, and it's going to automatically do that. Okay. So real simple designs here. All right. We're going to come over to, on this right side, there's a bar that runs down here. All right. And there's a couple different things on here. One is the instructor tab. This is really nice because if you get hung up on something, you can hit this instructor tab and it's going to help you through a bunch of different things, how to use specific tools. Also, folks, Google is amazing. You type in how to copy an image using Google Sketchup, and you're going to get hundreds of feeds. So Google's a great, YouTube is a great reference for you using Google Sketchup. Okay. What I want to show you here to end this lesson is materials. I'm going to select materials, and under materials, I'm going to come down here to browse. And when I browse, it brings up a whole bunch of building materials, okay? So you guys here, you're going to be drawing the product that you were making in class before, we went to remote learning. So you're going to be drawing a clock, an entry table, or your poker table, all right? So we're going to probably be using some type of this wood pattern here, okay? So I'm just going to select that wood pattern. This brings us to the paint bucket. It's very interactive, like I said. So I made my selection here from the material that I want to use, and all I do is click. And when I click out here, it's going to apply that wood grain pattern to the object. I rotate around, and I can go ahead and I can add that to all my other sides. So now this is looking more like a birdhouse. You can use whatever shades you want here. There are, metal, glass, mirrors, doors, roofs, windows, all kind of crazy stuff in here, and it's real easy to manipulate, okay? For instance, let's say I wanted to add roof, and let's say I go with the old basic shingle. I'm going to change it up here just so you guys can get a sense. One thing with this, now remember, we're 12 inches by 12 inches, so it's not scaled really well. If this was like 36 by 24, this roofing material would be very, very detailed to size. Here it is not, because we're small. The last thing I want to do to end this is we're going to go to glass and mirrors. And I'm going to make this somewhat transparent. I'm going to take that guy, and when I click there on that window, notice how it allows me to see in to my design. All right. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Okay. Design a simple birdhouse. So a simple little birdhouse. You can see here on my desktop, added some more embellishments there. Use that paint bucket to add some different things. There's no right, there's no wrong here. It's just getting used to some of these functions. Okay. So to wrap up this assignment, looking over here at the toolbar, we use the selection tool. We've used the paint bucket. We used our line tool. We used our rectangle tool, push-pull tool, the move tool, the tape measure, and the orbit tool. All right. All those tools you will use just about for every single drawing that you make. You can see the program is pretty simple. You can be pretty interactive right away with this program, which makes Google SketchUp really, really nice. Okay. So to conclude this assignment, here's what I want you to do. Please make sure that you name this. So if I click up here, obviously I can enter a name. You're going to name it your birdhouse. So I would name this Mr. Sokol's birdhouse. Birdhouse. Something like that. Hit OK. There it is. It's renamed. What you're going to do then is save that up. And then this is going to save it into the folder, that we previously selected. So up into your Google Drive. So if you're looking at my desktop, there it is. I have it just a screencastify because I'm making this video. Where you save it, it'd probably be, a SketchUp folder. That's what I usually name them. So whatever you set up for this to link to and to save into, that's where it's going to be. What I want you to do from here, all right, I'm going to change screens here with you, so bear with me. I'm going to come back into my Google Drive. And I have all different kind of folders going for all my different classes, okay? But let's say that I had one Birdhouse. You can see inside here, I got all different components. Wherever you save that, what I want you to do then is I just want you to share that with me. All right. You're going to share that little drawing with me. That way I can see it, I can access it, and I can grade it. Okay. So to conclude this little assignment for your Birdhouse, please, when you're finished, name it, your name, Birdhouse, and then you're going to share that with me from your Google Drive. That way I have access to it. I can kind of take a look at it and make sure that you completed this assignment. Thanks for watching. Please reach out if you have any questions, concerns, beginning stages here using Google SketchUp. Hope you enjoyed this.